News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Thursday on Wall Street, where NVIDIA's blockbuster outlook spurred a rally in tech stocks, while investors brace for Fed Chair Warsh's speech at Jackson Hole, Wyoming tomorrow. And we check those closing numbers. We bring them to you each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 gained 55 points. NASDAQ gained 411 points. The Dow gained 105 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.67%. The 2-year yield at 4.22%. The 30-year yield at 5.18%. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index rising 2.2%, led by NVIDIA, which advanced more than 8.5%. Now, we're going to get back to that tech rally shortly, but first, President Trump has signed an executive order renaming Lake Ontario in the United States.
I guess the purpose of this, more than anything else, is we're going to be changing the name of Lake Ontario, effective immediately, to Lake America.
Now, the move is part of Trump's trade war with Canada, with the U.S. imposing tariffs on Canadian goods after talks between the countries broke down. Canada added 50% tariffs on U.S.-made copper wire and wood charcoal to its retaliation list as a replacement for its removal of fish and seafood products. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says Canadian officials walked away from trade negotiations with the U.S. for political reasons.
My guess will be, as soon as his elections are over, you're going to see a plane full of Canadian negotiators flying down and go, come on, we'll give it to you before your election. We're just being used by them, right? That's what happened. That's why it ended. It didn't happen for math. The math was sensational. It was a great deal that we shook hands on.
Quebec is holding a referendum on the province's independence from Canada. The trade war with the U.S. is a key factor in that campaign. A blowout revenue forecast from NVIDIA put stocks in rally mode, led by tech shares. NVIDIA says revenue will grow by 70% next fiscal year, outstripping analyst estimates for a 45% jump. Bloomberg's Ed Ludlow.
Demand for accelerated computing systems, those are the servers that have NVIDIA's GPUs in them that have to this point largely been for training models and now are for running AI models. The demand is far outpacing the world's ability to supply. And in most industries, that's an enviable position to be in.
Bloomberg's Ed Ludlow on balance of power. NVIDIA's upbeat outlook offered relief to investors concerned about a bubble in the AI economy. Salesforce shares jumped after that software company gave an outlook for strong revenue expansion and deepened its partnership with Anthropic. The company expects revenue to accelerate in the second half of the year, and its AI tool Agentforce is on track to contribute about $1.5 billion in revenue this year. Shares of Salesforce jumped 23% in regular trading. Kansas City Fed President Jeffrey Schmidt says monetary policy may be accommodative rather than restrictive, citing underlying demand pressures that could justify a rate hike as soon as September 16th.
The last Q3, Q4 data for me last year was, I thought we certainly weren't restrictive and maybe even a little accommodative. So we've got work to do.
Speaking to Bloomberg's Michael McKee at the sidelines of the Jackson Hole Economic Symposium, Schmidt rejected the idea that the October 28th meeting is off the table because of the presidential election, maintaining that political considerations do not affect FOMC decisions. Commerce Secretary Lutnick says the Kennedy Center is dilapidated and dangerous, and that renovations will cost upwards of $257 million. Lutnick says President Trump will be the construction manager, and the board has voted to close the Kennedy Center for the duration of the renovation.
But it will be called the John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. The board decided it wanted to acknowledge President Trump by saying underneath the name of the building, renovated and restored by President Donald J. Trump.
The board's decision to close the Kennedy Center for renovations over 2 years is subject to legal challenges. Historic preservation groups are suing to block demolition or any major structural changes. Europe's governing football body says it is pursuing a criminal case against FIFA president Gianni Infantino in Switzerland, intensifying the fallout from his failed plan to monetize the World Cup. As part of that effort, UEFA filed a lawsuit in New York seeking subpoenas to gather information from Thrive Capital and its founder, Joshua Kushner, about their role in developing Infantino's strategy. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg.